about the regions. We just talked about the Premiership, the importance of that, but of course the regions came in 2004 into Wales with the 5 regions, of course. We'll come to Bob first of all, and we'll talk about the Ospreys, the best team in Wales. Yeah, maybe about 10 years ago. Maybe about 10 years ago.
Best team in Wales. Let's look at the
stats. Bob, can you tell me a little bit about your links to the Ospreys? Were you a Neath fan beforehand and jumped over to the Ospreys, or are you new to the Ospreys? Oh, we got a clue. Explain away for us, mate.
Born in Neath, massive Neath fan. First game was Neath against Abertillery. It was always the first game of the season when the fair was on in Neath in September. And then, oh God, watched them for many, many years. Saw them under the Ayatollah when they were winning everything. And then I moved away and was watching it all from afar when Vernon Pugh turned the game professional in '95. And then 7 years later, the regions came around and, well, because there was no money. There was no money to pay loads and loads of players from loads and loads of clubs, which is why clubs like Richmond went under. And so the regions came about. There was only ever going to be one region I could support, and that was the Neath and Swansea Ospreys. And the demise of Bridgend and Pontypridd coming together did us best of all, really, because nobody wanted to go to Cardiff. The Newport had been really well placed in the first season and then fell off as the money fell away. The Scarlets, worse than Echley, they weren't going to change for anybody, and they've stayed the same. And we were the only region that were a real region. And so we incorporated everybody, whether they were from Bridgend or Tonmawr, from Swansea or the Gower, made no difference. You were part of Australia, and we had big gates then. And then, you know, we were playing in Swansea, down at St Helens, or we were playing occasionally at the Knoll. And then the Swans had their stadium built at Morpher, and we got in on that. And it's a great stadium, but it is a football stadium, and it's too big. And so we rattle around in there. But having said that, we had the players that have provided the bulk of the Welsh team throughout this second or third golden era. We've given our players to the Lions, and we've got 21 Lions from the Ospreys. And we're the only team to beat a touring team when we stuffed Australia as a region.
Absolutely. That's why we're Ospreys fans, and that's why this season has been extremely painful, to say the least. Yeah, just a little bit. Let's bring Daniel in. Can you explain a bit about your affiliation with the Scarlets and why they aren't as good as the Ospreys for me, please, mate?
Right, so it's ganging up on me. Okay.
I'm not ganging up.
Right, where do I start? Right. I'm definitely RFC fan first and foremost. First game was Neath, as it happens, back in, I think it was 89, 1990, around that time. In Stradey Park, in the old Stradey Park. I'm glad to say we won. Excuse me, because I've absolutely bombed it back to the caravan and I'm out of breath because I'm so unfit. And then going in now, here we go. Make sure it opens. Anyway, so yeah, and that was, as I say, back in the 90s. Fast forward, well, quite a few years, obviously, and then we became a region. I do disagree, of course, I do with Bob that they are the only region, because for me, yes, okay, Echley stayed as the only pro team back then, and you know, as a standalone with Cardiff, who became the Cardiff Blues. However, I do feel that a region encompasses the whole region of clubs that are in that county, that borough, that region, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, and rightly so. I think a few years back, the club decided to drop Llanelli. I'm a Llanelli boy. It didn't bother me so much. I know others, supporters, that it does bother. It didn't bother me because I did feel at that point we became brand, the regional brand that you see now, which is the Scarlets, and does represent West Wales. You know, and it's great being here tonight in Pencanuck Holiday Park in deepest West Wales, as I say, in Ceredigion on the Newquay coastline. Seeing plenty of Scarlets, tops around, you get the odd Osprey. Obviously, he's a bit lost, but yeah, it's great. So yeah, you know, and that's my journey. A massive Scarlets fan. I worked a few years, as privilege and honour to work for the club for 5 seasons as well. Yeah, ymlaen the Scarlets.
Absolutely, and the Scarlets have seen some great success. Not as good as the Ospreys, of course. It's just one of them things. Being an Ospreys fan, success just comes a lot of the time. But Bob, can you chat to me a little bit about the golden days? Because of course you remember the team. You remember Shane Williams. We had James Hook. We had Mike Phillips. We had all of them. He's even got the photo. We had an insane team. It was one of the best teams that we had. And
go through that squad that we had then, from Lyndon Bateman all the way down to Nicky Walker. It's full of internationals, full of quality star players, up to Richie Barry Williams, you know, Sonny Parker, the bulk of the Welsh team that have done so well and laid the foundations for Warren Gatland and his team, all came from the Ospreys. Now, granted, they did very well out of the demise of the Bridgend debacle, but somebody had to, and it just turned out that it was us.
Perfect. And the Ospreys were so successful, and of course, you know, there was a lot of talk at the time where, you know, coaches were picking like 13 Ospreys. He is one of the, you know, the Ospreys were so successful at the time, and people were like, wait, but isn't it to represent the 4 regions? Let's go over to Daniel now to chat a bit about the Scarlets. Of course, Scarlets over the past 5 years, I've seen a good amount of success and played. As an Ospreys fan, I hate to say it, but I will say it. I've played some really good rugby. I've played really attractive rugby. It must have been some great memories over the last 5-6 years down at Parker Scarlets for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a great 5 or 6 years, as you say, Brandon. And you know, we were a little bit slow off the mark when regionalisation came in, but I think that we've, you know, certainly made up for it in the last few years, as you say. Yeah, fantastic memories. I mean, the couple of visits we had to the well, actually more than a couple, to Dublin for the semis and the final twice were good memories. Unfortunately, on the second occasion we lost out there, but to a very, very good Leinster side. But yeah, in recent years, you know, we've played, and I think that's important for the Scarlets as well. Is that it's not only you know, winning, which of course is everything in rugby, but it's the brand of rugby that they play, and in fairness, that they've continued to play. You know, we've always gone for a coach that likes that style, very similar to Swansea City, perhaps not so much in recent years, but in that they try to keep that continuity of the coaching and staff, so that obviously you keep that brand of rugby or brand of football in the Swans case going forward. You know, but yeah, highlight for me in the last few years certainly would be that final in Dublin, playing Munster in 2017 to win the Pro 12 as it was then. And probably only clips by the week before beating Leinster in the semi-final with 14 men in the second half. You know, so yeah, some great memories.